the No Limiter Podcast, where we interview top business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators in every industry to help you set record-breaking months. Here's your host of the No Limiter Podcast, Regina Eileen Woodard.
You are listening to the No Limiter Podcast. I am your host, Regina Eileen Woodard. Regina Eileen Woodard / Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. And credit, my co-host, Dr. Teresa Moore, is traveling at this time, so she's not going to be able to join me on this podcast. But I have a young gentleman that I have been wanting to interview for almost a year. I want to introduce to you all Marlon Walls. How you doing, Marlon?
Or Regina, how you doing?
So Marlon, what you do is, when I look at the business that you do far as Turo, you don't call it Turo, do you?
No. So I don't call it a Turo business because Turo runs their own business. We are operating a business on their platform, essentially, as Turo hosts typically do. That you operate on their platform, but you're not in the Turo business. You're really in the rental car business. So I make that distinction early on.
So rental car fleet owner and podcaster. The name of the business is Rebus Shift, right? Rebus Shift.
Yep.
So Marlon, when I went onto your website, I saw that you had serviced over 700 clients.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about how do you service over 700 clients and have them completely satisfied and want to come back and refer people?
I mean, that's the foundation of our entire business model is the customer service model, because I think about like Amazon. Amazon services over 1 million or probably over 100 million people throughout the year, and they continuously get 5-star reviews. They continuously get repeat customers and long-term customers because of them delivering a certain level of customer service. Like I was just say an example. One time, actually, the mic I'm talking on right now, this Shure microphone, I ordered it off of Amazon, and it arrived in 2 hours. Literally from the time I ordered it to the time it arrived was 2 hours. And so that's the customer service experience that we try to model inside of our rental car business. So when we serve 700 plus customers, that's the type of mentality that we have. Fast-paced service, making sure that it's reliable, making sure that it's delivered. So like thinking about the vehicle, make sure that it's clean, make sure that it's there on time for the customer when they're coming to pick up the vehicle, make sure it looks like the picture that they saw, and make sure that we're communicating very well with them. All of those things allow them to have a 5-star experience, what we call it. Basically,
because I was reading your bio that you left. So you're providing the VIP experience to every client?
Yes, and that's essentially how we do it. That's our main focus is trying to differentiate ourselves from other Turo hosts, from other rental car companies, is by delivering a certain level of experience that you can't experience with anybody else.
But how do you do that? How do you develop the VIP for every customer? Because I'm in sales and I sell cars, and I say that, which I do, try to provide everybody with that queen service, or that if he's a guy, I try to give him the king service. But I know that at times it's hard. I mean, it is. It's hard, Marlon. How do you do it?
Like I had to talk with my dad a lot. So I always tell him that I'm not looking to win the battle. I'm looking to win the war. So somebody may not be, let's say someone isn't having the best time with your vehicle, and let's say that they want they would like to be compensated for that, for the inconvenience. So let's say, as one of our examples, somebody came to pick up the car, but it was picked up and it wasn't clean to our standards, and they had pointed it out to us. They were saying how they were dissatisfied with it. We were saying that we were willing to reimburse you for that day, like that there's probably like a 1-day trip. But the fact that we saw that we didn't deliver something to our own standard, we were willing to help them out along that way, because we understand that we may have made like $40 on that trip. That $40 isn't worth somebody that may come back and be a reoccurring customer in the future. So the fact that we value them more than we value the money that they're going to give us on this one trip, they remember that piece. Like, okay, this company, they hold a certain standard. If they don't deliver on that standard, they are willing to go against themselves in order to make sure that they can deliver a certain level of customer service. That's our main model. So that's just one example, but we do that in many other ways, just within our messaging, within how we deliver cars to people, how we make sure that they're all clean and pristine condition. Like those are the things that we do that separates ourselves from other people.
Well, I love that you said that, because small business owners look at getting everything they can get. They're not looking at, okay, well, that might be a repeat customer. If you had a bad experience or something wasn't right, how do you correct that? And how do you correct that is giving them their money back or giving them a discount. But I commend you, because when you give them their money back, that speaks volume. But then when you do that, what happens when you do that? When you give them their money back, just give me an example. Walk me through it. You just walked me through a little bit, but you gave them their money back. I mean, did they refer somebody? Did they come back? Or what happens after you give them their money back? Do they just go away and disappear?
I mean, sometimes they will. Like, it's not, I don't really, I just really look at it as more so us controlling what we can control. If we didn't give them a certain level of experience that we expected to give to every single customer, then we are going to take responsibility for that. And we'll do that in like the multiple ways, like you just said. One could be giving them their money back. Another one could be giving them a discount on their next trip with us. Another one could just be like us going out and trading the car for another car. Let's say they didn't like that car, we'll go out and bring them another one. But always thinking about different ways to add value to that person who isn't experiencing what we are trying to deliver to every customer. And so the more that we're able to do that particular, the more we're able to deliver that experience, the more likely we'll be able to start getting those referrals from people. Like somebody somewhere is saying something about us, whether we know it or not. Like I talked about Amazon just now. I haven't told Amazon that, like my story about how I impacted them. But whoever listens to this podcast right now may say, you know what? Amazon delivers stuff in 2 hours. Let me go order from them. They don't know that I referred them, but I did indirectly because I'm telling my story. Somebody's probably talking about me somewhere else that we don't even know about.
So how did you get involved in the automobility business? When I say automobility business, everybody got to know that, you know, your business is taking less customers away from like an enterprise, you know, because of the personal service, but because of giving them money back and just treating them like VIP. Because, you know, a lot of people are not going to enterprise or Hertz and all that because they're treated like 50 cents instead of being treated like a diamond. Does that make sense?
Yep.
How did you get started? How did you get started in the business? What made you get started?
Right. So that goes back to me doing podcasting. So I am a podcaster. We've been doing it for 3 years. Money Monopolizers podcast. We actually, in the beginning of our podcasting journey, we were doing real estate, me and my podcast co-hosts. And we started, like, our goal was financial freedom at an early age. And we started interviewing people on our podcast who were either financially free already or on their way to it, or had a certain level of financial literacy that we could learn from. And so we would interview those guests, and we started seeing that not everybody didn't just do real estate. Some people actually did businesses. We started interviewing people who did several types of businesses, one of them being the rental car business. And then in that interview actually gave me like a spark in my mind that said, yo, that sounds like something that we could do. Like I started thinking about myself because I was actually in school at the time when we ended the interview. I was in college. And when I finally graduated, when I came back home, I told my dad.
Where'd you graduate?
So that was actually my master's degree. I did. I got it from Purdue University.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Back up. How old are you, Marlon?
26.
Okay, so 26. So back up. Tell us where you got your bachelor's. Let's talk what you got, because you savvy, but you went to college. So let's dive into that. Where'd you go to college?
Yeah, so I went to college, Stephen F. Austin State University. That was I graduated in December 2017. That was for engineering physics. So I was went there for 3.5 years, a 4.0 student while I was there, and I ended up graduating.
4.0. There you go, flipping real quick. 4.0.
Yeah, so I was actually a 4.0 student every semester while I was in college.
So where'd you get all your smarts from? You got to say your mom and your dad because they might see this podcast, right?
I mean, yeah, I've always been very disciplined. And so anytime I'm assigned a task or anytime I have something I need to get done, I'm pretty straightforward. I'm going to make sure I get done to the best of my ability. So that varies in the way that works in various aspects of my life. So within the rental car business, as an example, or social media, whatever I'll do, I try to give my best effort into it. So I always credit it more so towards that than rather just being innately smart. I'm always willing to put in the work to do or to achieve whatever I need to. And it just so happens that resulted in a 4.0 every semester in college. And so graduated from there in 2017. I went to Purdue in 2018, and I graduated in 2020 with my master's in mechanical engineering.
So how do you use your degree right now?
I don't. I don't. Straight up.
I'm laughing because I don't have a master, but I got an associate's and a bachelor's, right?
Mhm.
And mine's in psychology, liberal arts, and sociology with my bachelor's, right? And I'm not a social worker. I was a caseworker for a few years, right? Then I got into sales, but I'm not using my degree. But sociology, that helps you be, you're supposed to be able to socialize with people more, right? Or you're supposed to be able to talk. Whatever you do, you're supposed to be able to get the point across with that. But it's just funny how, you go to college, you get a degree behind you, right? And then you become an entrepreneur, right?
Mhm.
So only if we knew what we knew, we
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have went to college, right?
Yeah. And I would say, my thing is that everybody wants to put so much weight on the college education as being what you should be doing. But understand, I just see college as one form of education. There's many forms of education, and I've never stopped educating myself ever since graduating college. Most people actually do. And that's why they end up just doing whatever they went to college for, even though they may not even like it long term, or it may not match their goals. But because they stop educating themselves, they don't ever learn about any other routes to get to their goals faster. And that's kind of what I did back in 2018.
Okay, so what's one of the ways you educate yourself?
A lot through books and podcasts, and also through mentors in my space. So early on, like I said, we were in real estate, and that came from listening to podcasts every single day. That came from reading books about real estate, and just continuously immersing yourself with people who know what you don't know. So, and that's really what education is for me. It's like knowing what your goal is and figuring out avenues and vehicles in order to get there. So my goal is financial freedom. And so that means that I have different ways that I can get there. I can get there through real estate. I can get there through business. I can get there through stocks. Which vehicle do I want to pick? So start off in real estate, but now we transition to business, and we saw what business can I get into? So then it was rental cars. Rental cars, who are the teachers inside of the rental car business that can help me get started and help me continue to scale? So now those are the people who will educate you. That's what education looks like now.
What person in the business that you're in, what's your most influential person that you have met to this day?
Man, most influential person in the rental car business at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it varies in stages, because there's influence. I would look at it as you have different seasons in your business or in your growth and development. So in the very beginning, it was our first podcast guest. I was talking about Brian Robinson. That was my first person that even introduced us into the rental car business. Afterwards, somebody who really inspired me to move forward was like CEO Matty J. He was someone who had really got a lot of vehicles in his personal rental car fleet, and he was very successful in the business. Those two were very influential in the beginning, but now I'm at a point where I'm looking to learn from people like Enterprise or people like companies like that. So those are more influential now, and I'm associated with different.
But you're taking their business. You're taking their business. What do you want to learn from them? You're taking their business. So what do you want to learn from Enterprise or Hertz? What do you think you can learn?
If you're looking to take somebody's business, who better to learn from than the person you're trying to take it from?
Amen. Say it again.
So
say it again. You answered that one because I was hoping you hit it on, because I was hoping you would say that.
Yes, if somebody has a model that's been proven to work for the longest time, why reinvent the wheel? That's one thing I'm very anti right now. I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything. I did not. So if I wanted to become an engineer, I wouldn't start from scratch. I would go to school to learn how to be an engineer and then go do it. You don't figure it out all on your own and just say, I'm going to just go go through trial and error. And then all of a sudden I know how to do engineering. You go educate yourself. Same thing in this. If I want to run a rental car business, why would I try to figure it out all on my own? Right. That's not what you did in school. So why do you do it in business?
You're going to model someone else.
Right. So you can model someone else. You also can tweak it because you may have your own skills and ideas, but get the foundation from seeing what's already been done before, and rather than reinventing the wheel for yourself.
So what is financial freedom to you?
Financial freedom is not having to worry about trading in your time for money, essentially. So pretty much having income coming in, whether I work for it or not. So that means that I shouldn't have to do anything for my income. My income comes in whether if I'm asleep, if I'm on vacation, no matter what I'm doing, I can have my basic, well, not even my basic needs, my necessities in life covered. That is what I consider financial freedom. And we actually talk on our podcast that there's levels to financial freedom. The first level is essentially having your base expenses covered for like your day-to-day expenses, like your housing, your car, your current lifestyle. Then there's level 2, which is your elevated lifestyle or your dream lifestyle. If I had to build out my dream expenses, like my dream house, my dream cars, my dream travel schedule, my like having a butler, having a maid, whatever that may be, having a housekeeper, having a babysitter, all that. That's level 2 financial freedom, building a lifestyle, or no, being able to afford that lifestyle. Then level 3 is like being able to afford anything money can buy. Like if you want to buy private jet, a private yacht, your own skyscraper, like that's what level 3 is. So
you're working on level 3. So you're working to get to level 3, right?
Yeah, but level 2 keeps me motivated every day, because I do picture us having that dream lifestyle, and I'm always continuously seeing that vision, and that's what usually drives me every day. It's level 2.
So Marlon, what makes you happy?
What makes me happy is really just waking up knowing that I have another chance to do what I choose to do in life. Like knowing that I have a power of choice. Like I'm not doing anything that I am being forced to do. It's just knowing that I'm living for myself. And that was one thing that I really had to overcome going from college and not using my degree. Because a lot of people expected certain things out of me. Like, okay, so you was a 4.0 student, engineering physics, mechanical engineering. You've been talking about you about to be this rocket scientist type guy. And what you're doing now, that's not a rocket. That's a car.
Who was that? Who was talking to you about that? Who was giving you those words? Your parents?
No, so nobody gave me that directly, but I felt like I was receiving those type of signals every now and again, and I think it was more so in my head rather than reality, because I think some people may have just been okay with me doing whatever, but some people may not have been. But for me, it really doesn't matter, because when I die at the end of my life, they're not going to talk about anybody else except for what I did with my life. And so I need to make sure that I live for myself and be able to impact the people that I'm meant to be here to impact, versus being worried about what somebody else may think about how I move with my life or within the time that I'm alive.
So what kind of legacy what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
It's pretty much leaving a legacy knowing that I influence people to be the best version of themselves. So beyond just rental cars, I'm very passionate about teaching people how to unlock the same type of mentality that I did. So going from trying to live for other people or trying to like not believing that you can achieve anything to being able to really do that. So I do it indirectly through teaching people about business, teaching people how to step into the next level for themselves. It's difficult for me to explain, but that's kind of where my passion lies, because it varies based on a lot of different things. Like I'm pretty much like a coach in multiple areas. Like it can be business and personal development. Those are kind of my two sweet spots.
So you basically coaching, you doing personal development and coaching too?
So I've never done, well, not never, but I don't do like formalized coaching. So I've done many different individual sessions with people where they are going through something, and I'm able to like unlock a certain thing within them to snap out of their current way of thinking. I'm very, very in tune to like the psychology of how people think and trying to get them to another level of just pretty much like an elevated level of thinking for themselves.
Is that the physics side? That's what it is?
I would say it's psychology. I like psychology.
Okay. No, I love that, because I'm sure that's another way of having passive income too, because of your outlook and your thinking. That's a personal development. That's you being a coach. You charging people. No, seriously, you charging people for that hour or that hour and a half or that half hour. And Marlon, they will pay it. They will pay it. You know that, right?
No, I mean, we've had it before. I mean, we've had it multiple times where people are willing to pay for that. Now, I will say that's more of my passion, but I honestly don't care to have my income come from that. It can, but the problem with that is I have to continue to show up. It becomes I have to. Like I said earlier, my goal of financial freedom is to not have to do anything for my money. And so that comes through owning real estate. That comes through owning stocks that pay me dividends, or that appreciate without me having to work for them. That comes from owning a business, not running a business. That's a very big difference. I want to be able to, that money that I have coming in to pay for my lifestyle, I want that to be something that pays for everything without me having to work for it. Then as far as being able to impact people, there can be a charge for that just because of the time, but that's not where the income will come in for me.
No, I got it. But the reason I'm encouraging, and I'm saying that you want to just miss out on your blessing because, no, seriously, because I mean, if someone's going to pay you to speak or to be there, or, and they say, hey, I'm going to write you a $5,000 check. I need you to show up in 2 hours. I need you to motivate these kids. Or I
would love to do that too. I would love to do it. I would not mind. I would definitely expect to be compensated for just for the time piece. Like I said, my time is actually the most valuable thing for me. So I will be compensated for that in the future. But at the same time, that's not where I'm looking for my income source. That's all. That was like the whole point, I guess.
Yeah, but sometimes, and I'm gonna get off of this part, but sometimes things drop in your lap.
Oh yeah.
You never anticipated it to happen.
Right.
And I believe in God, and I don't know whether you believe. I'm not trying to talk about your religion, but just how humble you are. So I know that you worship somebody, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay, so me saying that is, don't miss out on your blessing. That's gonna be that check that's come to you. That's gonna be easy, and then when you don't want to have to show up. Your business want to run, right? But all your business are gonna run. And then that's going to be where you're going to have your speaking engagements. I see that because I remember, on the morning meetup, you and David, y'all got something going on or what? Y'all have this great relationship. I wanted, this is the 8-month question I've been wanting to ask. Are you guys tight or what? Tell me.
I started in the morning meetup back in December of 2020. So I've been there for quite a while now. And when I first got there, I was the prototypical Rico. So he said Rico is his target audience. That's like his target customer that he's talking to. I was the prototypical one. Like I was in between my job and I had a dream of what I wanted to do. And at the same time, I was too confused. I had a lot of different businesses that were going on at the same time. I had a list of like 12. And at the end of December, right, rental cars was just one of like 12. And December, like the end of December, he had us do like a year-end review where he wanted us to review the year and see what went good, what went bad, and what was like something funny like that you wish you wouldn't have did. That's like, I'm not doing that going this next year. And so I did that exercise, and I realized how, and he had did multiple conversations about this too. Multiple streams of income was not the way to go, because everybody had that misconception. Like, I'm looking to get a rental car business. I'm trying to get into trucking. I'm trying to get into credit repair. I'm trying to get into this, that. And you are not focused on anything. So nothing is growing. You just have a lot of streams of work. That's what I was experiencing. And I realized how foolish that was back then. So that's when I locked in 2021. I continuously told my story through content, because I went to his content creation bootcamp. He's got to see who I was. And that was where he saw the transformation from me not even posting content to now telling my story about how I'm focusing and graduate and like pretty much developing in that business sense. And so I'm like one of like a big testimonial for him at that point, like seeing me come in how I was to how I am today is completely different. So that's kind of where that relationship got fostered from.
Are you in the market for a new or used car? Whether you're in the Metro Detroit area or anywhere in the U.S., call or text me at 248-301-0461. And I go to work on getting you the best deal possible. That's right. We're delivered anywhere in the U.S. Call or text me at 248-301-0461. So in other words, when I ask you one of your influential people, he's probably should be one of them, right?
Most definitely. So, and that's why I said it depends on, I guess, the field too, because he's an entrepreneur. He was in the field of entrepreneurship rather than just the rental car business. So like I've had multiple mentors, multiple influences. And so like, I never claimed that I figured out anything on my own. Like a lot of stuff comes from by being resourceful and finding other people who can get me to the next level. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to go to figure out how to do engineering on my own. I'm going to find resources. Same thing with entrepreneurship. Same thing with rental cars. I'm seeking who can help me get to that next level. And he was definitely one of the main resources.
So what advice would you give someone that's 18, 19 years old and they follow you What's some advice that you can give them to get to the bag or to get to their career without going through the bumps and bruises maybe that you went through?
So without the bumps and bruises, first off, you have to know your goal. That's always first and foremost. You have to start off with a goal in mind. It's like you can't run a race without knowing where the finish line is. You have to know.
Wait a minute, like, I see it. Wait a minute, I see it, right? But I don't know how I'm gonna get there, right?
You're right. So, but you have to know where you're going first. Like if I said let's run a race, you got to figure out, okay, we starting here and going to where? The light pole over there, or we just going to start running randomly? Like we're going to end up in two different areas if nobody knows where we're going. Yeah. We have to know the goal first. Once you know the goal, then you can start backtracking and saying, what do I need to get there? Or who do I need to help me? Who can help me get there at that point? But you have to know that initial goal first. So I gave myself as an example to start breaking it down. My goal was to have financial freedom by age 32. I said that back when I was 21. So that's when I first made my first ever financial goal. Financial freedom and by like 10, or I was turning 22 that year. So I said in 10 years, I want to be financially free. And at that time, all we saw was real estate. And so we said, okay, if I want to do real estate, what does financially free mean? My biggest suggestion is to be numerical with it. Don't just say a generic term like I did of just saying financial freedom. What does that number mean for you? So what does financial freedom mean as far as monthly income, yearly income? What does that look like? And so that now you got to really start breaking down, what is that dream lifestyle? Or when do you consider yourself hitting financial freedom? At what number? Then break it down and say, how can I get there? And what are the vehicles that can help me get there? So that's why I said real estate was one of them for us. Running a business was another one. Trading stocks was another one. These are all different options that we had to that we could pick from. And now it's about figuring out which one best fits you. Then education. If I said I wanted to be a lawyer, I'm not going to just jump into a law firm and say, can you hire me? I'm going to go educate myself first to be qualified to go into that law firm. So it's the same thing with if you go into real estate, stocks, business, or whatever else, you got to educate yourself first before you get into it. So especially at an early age, like this is the prime time for education, is continuously feed your mind with how to perform at a high level in that field. And then the most important thing is taking action on what you learn.
Yeah, because what I find is that a lot of people think that, when you get to, where people see you how you are, but they don't realize what you would have to go through to get where you are. You know what I mean? And they just don't understand the little things. And one key thing, what you said, is the education, and then also getting in rooms, but not just getting in rooms, but find that influential person, somebody that you can, that can help you. Because why recreate something? In my journey right now, I'm looking at some people that I'm gonna mirror, right? In order to take my business to another level. Because I'm thinking, like, I'm not going to recreate the wheel on that, even though I never did it, right? I'm going to watch you. And then we got a relationship. I need to get on your platform, right? To learn what you do. And so that's key. And anybody that's 18, 19, 20, or even middle age, grown, whatever you want to call it, needs to have that system that you're talking about. Because, it's no such thing as recreating. It's just like, I remember when they developed the Apple phone, right? Everybody started with Apple, right? People got Apple. Now you have different carriers that have Apple, right?
Right.
And so they didn't recreate and say, Samsung, they got their own phone, right? But they didn't recreate and say, well, I'm going to just do a phone just like Apple, right? I'm going to get Apple onto my platform, but then I'm going to create a little bit something different that Apple doesn't do, right? Yeah. So nobody out there is recreating anything. People are using partnerships, relationships in order to better themselves. What's the influential book that you have read that really have changed your life to this date?
And that's a loaded question in a way, because I'm looking at when I look over here, I look at my bookshelf. I have a bookshelf of like 40 books. I'm like, which one would that be? So it really depends on the area. So is there any particular area that you want to talk about in regards to books? Because I really dive deep into different ones based on like what the topic is.
So good. I'm going to give it to you. I got 3. Podcast world. What's the podcast book? Because I'm going to take notes. You got one over there?
I would say it's a book. It's just the podcast itself, a Social Proof podcast. Like if I'm educating myself, I'm educating from listening to that podcast, Social Proof. As far as listening to how he interviews, the different questions that comes up, that's of course David Shands. You mentioned him earlier, but that is somebody I love how he interviews. And so really, if you have a goal in mind to be a great podcaster, figure out who do you like that does podcasting really well, or that you consider that does podcasting really well. Study how, and don't study what they're asking, study how and how they asked it. And why do you think they came up with that question next? And why are they asking the questions that they're asking? Because typically, like David Shands as an example, he asks questions because he's thinking about his target audience. Yes. So you have to really, it's being a studier of what they're doing, of like how they're doing what they're doing, rather than just what they're saying. So I'm not listening to the direct question. Listen to how they're answering the question and the enthusiasm that they answer with, and the why behind it. That's what I listen to. So it's podcasting. So that's the answer.
Okay, so real estate. What do you?
Real estate. So there's a foundational book on real estate. So there's a company called Bigger Pockets. First of all, that's like the hub for real estate altogether. Mm-hmm. And they have a guy named Brandon Turner that was one of the hosts of their podcast, Bigger Pockets. He wrote two books. One was the book on rental property investing, and then also he co-wrote one with his wife called the book on managing rental properties. Those two books are just like the grandfathers of real estate, as far as laying out the foundation and exactly the step-by-step guide to rental property investing and managing them. Textbook. Like my current house today, the place I'm living in right now, if y'all are watching on YouTube, it's a house hack. So meaning that the downstairs the downstairs portion is a 4-bedroom house, and I rent that place out. I live upstairs above the garage. And so I'm living rent free because the rent downstairs pays for the mortgage. That's by way of reading books like that.
That's very smart.
So I have no housing expense because of that.
That's very smart. Auto mobility. Who influenced you to do what you do right now? What book are you reading or read?
I haven't sought out books in automobility space. So I educate myself, and it comes in various forms. So I listen to a lot of whether it's not influencers, but I would say other people in the business. So I talk to a lot of industry leaders. So let's say insurance companies. I have insurance relations with some insurance brokers. Same thing with lenders. So I'll talk to different loan officers. Those are like my influencers in a way, to where I can learn from like I can learn from them as they talk about the people that they've worked with in the past, what commonalities that they see between successful owners, and like that way I can start getting an idea about what we need to do. So it's not, I don't really read books in that space, but it's really more so of finding people who can help me out that are in the industry and know how to navigate it.
Oh, wow. You know what? This is one of the best interviews I've had. And I say that is because the flow, I'm comfortable. And it's like, you know, I've watched you. So, you know, this interview came at the right time for me, because I remember when I asked you, you know, I first initially, you know, went to you, I went in your inbox, your DM on Instagram, because that's what everybody do right now. They don't give nobody's telephone number, they DM on social media, right? Exactly. And so when I originally wanted to interview, I was just in the beginning. And now I'm very thankful to you. I appreciate you because, you know, I had a chance to grow, and just when you grow, you can listen more. Yeah. And
I know the feeling. I can tell. Yeah. I've done this. I've been in the same space, because we're on episode like 144 now. I really don't think that we got good until like I don't think I got good until episode 90.
Wow. Episode 90, huh? Wow. But you know what? You were good. You just wasn't giving yourself credit. That's all. Because that's correct. What we do. We don't give ourselves credit where credit is due.
That's correct.
Right?
Right? So there's levels to it, because some people will say, "No, y'all been doing great." It's to my standard, like because I know that I have certain like I know how comfortable. Like you said, the level of comfort. The level of comfort wasn't there until like episode 90, 91. That I actually remember 91 as being like my first breakthrough moment. Like, yo, something triggered. Like I'm flowing with this now. I can do this with confidence. Like that's where it was for me. But it just takes time and repetition. So the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yes. And, you know, the more comfortable you get because it's having a conversation.
Correct.
You know, and now when I prepare for the interview, you know, with the form that Eric which is my VP of marketing, he prepared, and I sent it to my guests, and with them filling it out, I do my homework. You know, I'm so comfortable now than what I was in the beginning.
Right.
You know? And then also, you know, the mastermind with David, you know, I mean, that was, you know, the great thing about the podcast that we had with the mastermind is that, you know, we get to interview with him, but you can get an interview with him anytime because of your relationship, because you were the breakthrough kid. You know, you hear me? You were the breakthrough kid. And I don't mean, okay, let me say man. You were the breakthrough young man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wait till I'm going to do an interview with him. And then Myron Golden, he came on with in one of his masterminds, he came on to the morning meetup, and he said anybody's mastermind he'll do an interview with. You know, after you get to episode 25, you know, so they wanted us to be, you know, the growth in order to get that interview. And correct. I appreciate that so much. You know, because who gets an interview like that? Who gets, you know, you can do a mastermind, but people don't actually, you know, say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So that's very appreciative. So two last questions. One is, talk to me about a daily tool. What is your favorite tool that you have?
It's probably ClickUp. So
yeah, you said ClickUp.
I was trying to think back to ClickUp. So there's 3 different versions of it's a very similar software to two other ones. There's Trello and then there's Asana. All of those are like project management softwares that allow you to really manage your day-to-day tasks for your team. Like it's really good for team management. And I like that because I'm very visual. So especially being able to lay out like a flow chart of how to do X, Y, Z. So I would say that's called our standard operating procedures. Our SOPs are laid out inside of ClickUp. So if somebody wants to know how to clean a car, it's going to have the detailed spots that we go through as far as making sure that you run the car through the car wash. On the interior, you make sure you wipe down the interior windows, make sure you wipe down the inside of the cup holders, and just a whole 9 yards about how to actually clean the car. Same thing with checking in a car. What's the check-in process? So these are the standard operating procedures that our business runs with. That way that I don't have to be the one to tell nobody that. Somebody, you reference the manual.
They can just see it, right?
Correct. So think about if you work at McDonald's, if you work at McDonald's, how often do you see Ray Kroc come in there and teach everybody what to do? Right. Ray Kroc was the original founder of McDonald's. You don't see him coming in there. He doesn't have to because there's a system in place that teaches them how to do it without them having to do it. Without him having to be there. That's my goal for any business that I run. That's why I say I'm trying to own the business, not run the business. Because if I can create a system that people know that can teach anybody how to do it, I don't have to be the one that's there doing it because anybody can do it at that point.
So let's talk about last part. Let's talk about the podcast world.
Yep.
You've been doing podcasting for 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me some advice on some things what are you doing? What's some things that you're doing that you can share with me? Because you're young. I mean, I love your energy. I love your flow. And, you know, I'm asking because I'm going to take some notes.
Right. No, I love it. So my biggest one that I've learned is being able to listen instead of waiting for my next response. That's something I did a lot in the beginning is I already have my next question lined up. So what happens oftentimes is that your guest would say something that may be a whole thing that you can lead, like you can continue that conversation forward, but you've been thinking so much about your next question that you just answer it and instead of even commenting on what the guest even said. And so it's not even a conversation no more. Now it does feel like a straight up interview where I'm just going down a list of questions. And I mean, in the beginning, we actually had, like we did Zoom and we did Skype. We had a list of questions on our screen and we just pretty much read off. Versus now where we're actually in person most times now and we just have a conversation. And so that's why I said I look at who is doing what I want to do, and especially when I'm trying to up-level myself. When I saw the social proof, I didn't see a list of questions up there. I didn't see him asking a list of questions that he had on a script. I saw him having a conversation. And that was what motivated and inspired me to say, let me work on that. Let me learn how to listen. let me focus more on responding rather than react, like having my preset list of questions. I don't need a preset list of questions. I want to listen to what they're saying and build a conversation. Because when I talk to somebody on a regular basis, I'm not going with a script, but we can still have a very good conversation because of just being a good conversationalist. So it's just learning to do that more often by just repetition, whether it's on or off the air. And so that's really, that's the best advice I can give, because that's what helped us out tremendously in regards to being able to have a better flow of conversation.
A lot of people right now have gotten educated with this podcast. And,
sure.
And the reason, I really believe we had conversation, we talked, because you said one key thing that just, it hit home with me, right? So you are dead on, spot on. Anything you do, when you get your nervousness out and you ain't got to worry about that next question, you just have conversation, then you know that you have almost mastered what you've been doing, right?
That's it. It comes to repetition.
You can flow. Repetition, anything you do. So what's the last words you'd like to leave with us? How do they reach you, or they want to rent a car from you or be a part of your VIP experience? How would they do that?
So I got two different things that people can tap into. If you want to just be one of our customers who rent cars from us, first of all, we're in Houston, and we are looking to expand. But right now we are based in Houston. You can go to www.rebushift.com. That's REBUSHIFT, or Rebus Shift. And then also, if you're looking to learn how to start your own rental car business, whether you're looking to start or scale it, we have different officers that we can provide to you off of rebussolve.com. So REBUSOLVE.com. So there's Rebus Shift for customers, and there's Rebus Solve for people who are looking to learn how to do what we've done.
Rebus Solve, right?
Yep.
And Rebus Shift. Wow.
That's correct.
So 2 R's, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for listening, or if you're watching the podcast, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Limiter Podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Remember to subscribe and review the No Limiter Podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and the No Limiter Podcast YouTube channel. Every listen and review helps to get this podcast out to as many no limiters like you as possible.